Upgrading the brakes on the Saturn Vue. It really needed it. Our 2005 Saturn Vue has been a good car for us. The combination of the GM parts bin and Honda drivetrain is something that really works very well for many things. But I think possibly they went a little cheap on the brakes, or at least the aftermarket has. The first set of brakes on the car lasted quite a while, but after that, getting new rotors every 4 to 8 months is really starting to get old. So we decided to upgrade the rotors to see if we can get them to last longer. The last set of rotors started to pulsate a little. It would get more pronounced after hard braking, but would go away after the brakes cooled down. This got worse and worse, but would always go away after the brakes cooled. Sometimes this took overnight, but it would still go away. This made me suspect that there were two issues involved. One, that the aftermarket rotors that I had got from O'Reilly Auto Parts were marginal for the application. They'd work for most people, but the second issue is the one that may have taken it over the top, that the car may be overloaded. Now, the solution to both of these issues would be to get rotors that would cool faster. And there really are several ways to do this. I decided to go the route of drilled and slotted rotors. This upgrade is an easy swap of the rotors and takes less than an hour and a half to do when you have practice. And I have plenty of practice. This will be the fourth set of rotors I've changed on it since we bought this car. In many of the forums I've read, there seems to be a controversy about the best way to deal with the issue of warped rotors or pulsating brakes. But in general, using drilled and slotted rotors seems to be the solution that most consistently works to solve the problem. Brandon wanted to help. He wanted to learn how to work on brakes, so I showed him the process and he helped with the work. After we put the car up on the jack, blocked it up for safety, and removed the wheel, I showed Brandon how to choose the right wrench, and then I let him remove the bolts to remove the caliper. Next, we hung the caliper with a bungee cord to the spring to keep it out of the way, and started to remove the caliper bracket with the pads still in it. This project was to replace the rotors only. This is because the pads still had almost half their friction material left. I'll replace them in another 5,000 miles or so. With the bracket out of the way, the old rotor just slides off. I showed Brandon why I was replacing the rotors. You can see here the blue spots on the rotor that indicate hot spots, and this is where the pulsating came from. While we watch Brandon learn how to put this back together, let me tell you about another method of keeping rotors cooler. I worked at a company for 12 years that made various coatings for high-performance racing applications. Being the R&D department, I tested coatings and applications to use them in. Sherry and I at the time had a 97 Dodge Caravan that the rotors would warp and crack every 3 to 6 months. Yes, I was driving through mountains, and one steep hill, you could smell the brakes at the bottom. But this was happening consistently. I tested out a thermal dispersant coating on a new set of rotors for that van. That coating transfers heat better than bare metal. So in other words, it cools faster. And this kept the last set of rotors running true and stable for years. The company still makes the coating that can be applied by coating shops around the world. I put a link in the description below. The reason I didn't use that method this time was timing. I needed to do the rotor change in one day, and it takes time to prep the rotors, apply the coating, and cure it by baking. However, if the drilled and slotted rotors start giving me pulsating effect, I'll go the coating route. see a more detailed, step-by-step process of replacing the disc brakes on a Saturn Vue, and really many other GM cars because the Saturn Vue uses all the parts from the GM parts bin, see our video, DIY Replacing Front Disc Pads and Rotors. A link is in the description below. Brandon learned a lot about tools and how brakes are put together. The other side went much faster. I've been driving on the new Rotors for more than a week now, and over 500 miles of stop-and-go city and stop-and-go freeway, mountain driving, you name it, and they are still working smoothly. Oh, and I managed to reduce the load in the back of the car by 100 pounds. After all, it is still my mobile toolbox, but at least it's lighter now.
Thanks for watching our video. If you like what you see, press the like button below and subscribe. And also check out our other videos.